Yes, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast. We're normally meant to be uploading this video on a Monday. We haven't been in hiding because both of our teams lost at the weekend. We've had a couple of issues, but here we are once again, Wednesday night now. I'm sat in cold England and Shane is in sunny Spain. How's it going over there, mate?
It's all right, mate. Nice and warm, 25 degrees, no rain, no clouds, hot, sunny. Lovely.
Oh,
perfect weather for this time of the year.
Oh, mate, I could do with a bit of that now. It's absolutely freezing over here. But we're both committed to the calls. Here we go again. It's a Wednesday night rather than a Monday. Again, both of our teams lost. But I just want to say quickly before we jump into it, I've seen a lot of new people come across the channel recently. So thank you to all the new subscribers. And if you've just come across the channel, go down below and subscribe, leave a comment, and hit the notification bell so every time we upload, you are notified.
Cool, yeah. And I wasn't, this is a message to Chris Mack for the comments section. I wasn't ignoring you. There was a question, who did I think was better, Salah or Kane? And at this precise moment in time, I'm going to give it to Salah at the minute. So I thought I'd answer your question live and direct rather than going into the comments. I won't hide in, just had a few things on my plate, but that's where we are at the minute. Salah just ahead of Kane.
Okay. So
about 13, 14 goals.
Yeah, that's right, mate. What about Harry Kane, Salah when they're both at it? When they're both on form, banging in goals. I know you're a Tottenham fan, so it's pretty hard not to be biased, but who? I was looking at their stats, to be honest, quite recently. I've got my boy he's my stats man. I got him to have a look at all the stats, and to be honest, they're quite close. I think Kane's got 3 golden boots compared to Salah's. But if you look closely at their stats, they're very close in all departments, to be honest. So there's not much between them. If you look at their stats individually, they're quite close. I think Salah is ahead of him on goals per minute per game. But by that, they're sort of like 0.1, 0.2 away from each other. So at the minute, close. But he's just flying at the minute, isn't he? But we spoke about him last week, didn't we? And we know what he's already done over the weekend, but we'll touch on that one in a minute, won't we, Tom? Yeah, he's different level, mate, at the minute. He's on a different planet. I think he's probably the best player in the world at the minute. We also had that question coming from Paul as well. He hasn't got an account, so he wasn't able to put the actual question on the video. However, he did ask me to ask you if you thought that he was better than Kane, and if you think Tottenham will ever be better than Liverpool. And that's obviously a difficult one to answer, but I want to know your reaction to that one as well.
So the question was, do I think Kane's better than Salah? The first question. There's a two-part of this one.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, mate, to throw more than one question at once. I know, it takes you a while. So first question is Harry Kane better than Salah? And secondly, will Tottenham ever finish above Liverpool in the league?
So at this precise moment in time, I'd say Salah is ahead of Kane, purely on just sort of like goals, application, assists and everything. When they're both firing on all cylinders, they're two different players. It's almost like when you say who's best, Messi or Ronaldo. They're both good in their own right. They can both put the ball in the back of the net. So
if you can only choose one in your team, who are you going with?
I'm going with Kane.
I want to know what people think in the comments as well.
That's if we're firing on all cylinders. That's what I'm going with. Do I think Tottenham will be better than Liverpool at some point in the future? I'd like to think so. I think Klopp's only there for a couple more years, so that's probably when the wheels will fall off. Although I've got a sneaky suspicion after having a conversation with my 17-year-old son, we're under the impression that what will probably happen is Klopp will go and they'll be in for Nagelsmann. But that's our theory.
I don't know.
So if that's answered your questions, I don't know.
Well, I've quite fancied Gerrard to go there. I know he's doing bits in Scotland with Rangers, but I think that would be a natural progression for him to go to Liverpool. But yeah, who knows, mate? They're flying at the moment. Salah's on a different level. Technically, he's brilliant, and he's making defenders look like schoolboys at the minute. But again, mate, I'll let you take the lead. Let's jump into the results from the weekend, and we will give our reactions and review.
Yeah, so I think we start off with the Arsenal Villa game. Arsenal obviously got a result 3-1. I think they coasted that one, to be honest. There wasn't under any sort of like real pressure. Villa were quite good at the beginning of the season, like the first 7 or 8 games, they were sort of holding their own. I think the wheels might be starting to fall off slightly on the Villa. I think we turned them over, Arsenal turned them over, and it was a comfortable win for Arsenal, 3-1. I had it down as a 2-2. You had it down as a 2-1 Villa win. So in relation to predictions, both pants as usual.
Yeah, no, mate. Again, every week we put a prediction down, and I think I've got one for the last 9 weeks. But yeah, I don't know. I think Arsenal are starting to find a little bit of form. They're starting to score a few more goals, a little bit harder to score against as well. But yeah, with Villa, I think they are missing Grealish a little bit. He did get a lot of assists, lots of goals. He's a creative player. But yeah, fair result in the end, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Went on then to the Chelsea-Norwich game. Obviously, we knew Norwich weren't going to win, as they still haven't won as yet. I don't think we thought it was going to be such a hammering for Chelsea against Norwich, but that was 7-0 Chelsea. I went for a 2-0 Chelsea. You went for a 3-0 Chelsea. I think Mount picked up hat-trick in that game, if I'm right.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they were solid. They were sort of like machine-like. They went through all the gears. I don't even think they hit sort of 3rd or 4th gear, to be honest. I think they had Norwich on the ropes early doors, and there's no looking back for Norwich. I think Norwich are like a wounded animal, but without any teeth.
I think if you're going into that game as a Norwich player and their team, they must have been thinking, do you know what, get to at least half hour without conceding. But I think they conceded quite early on. But I don't know. I just think about Norwich, and they haven't won this year yet. I think they've picked up a couple of draws. I think they got 2 points. But I feel like if you're watching a boxing match and it's so one-sided, the other person's actually getting a beating. You throw the towel in. I almost feel like Norwich would happily do that at the moment. Go, do you know what? We're not going to survive. I think we're 9 games in, not won a game, and being beaten 7-0 by Chelsea is just kick a man when he's down. But yeah, no, great, good result for Chelsea. Good for their goal difference. Mount getting a hat trick. But yeah, they looked at it, and Norwich never looked at the races.
Yeah, it's hard to see anything bar Norwich going down this season, and that's something to say so early doors in the season, to say yeah, that's them definitely down. But it just looks like that for Norwich, to be honest. I don't see anything bar them going down. So we'll just call them out for the rest of the season. That's them down. We don't need to worry about Norwich anymore.
I do want them to get a win though, mate. It would be quite nice to come on here 1 week when they've got 3 points.
And yeah, it will be against Spurs, won't it?
I hope so.
Yeah, that would be the thing that happens, I imagine. We had the Palace game next. Palace Newcastle, a 1-1 game, that one. Cagey game, really. Palace. I think the Palace get a late goal now. What's happened to Benteke? There was 1 minute Benteke he couldn't score. I think he went 2 seasons without scoring a goal or something daft like that. And then all of a sudden he looks like Benteke back from Villa. I don't know what's happened to him. He seems to be on it. He's bullying defenders, and he looks a handful again. So that was a surprise. I think Palace, did they nick a goal late on in that game against Newcastle?
To be honest, mate, I've watched all the reviews online, but I can't remember that particular time when they scored. But I think 1-1 draw. I think Newcastle will be the happier out of the two, because they're obviously not doing a lot in a minute. They need to get to a transfer window to spend some of that Saudi money, I think.
Yes, and obviously Steve Bruce was out the door for that one as well, wasn't he? So he was no longer there, poor old Stevie, but one of those things in football. The next game completely blew me out the water, this result. It was like Everton 2, Watford 5. I don't even know where that one was coming from. I think like Watford had been on the end of a few sort of like dodgy results. Everton at home, I was thinking, yeah, this is definitely Everton's game. Do you mean I don't know what was worse, being an Everton supporter or a Man U supporter this weekend? It was like a tragic one, to be honest. And what was it? Sort of like Everton went. I think Everton went in the lead. Watford got back into the game, and I think it was in like the last 10 minutes. I think Watford just opened them up like 3 goals and sort of like really opened up the scoring. So definitely didn't see that one coming. It's completely blindsided me. But we did say, didn't we? The little tinker man, Ranieri. Maybe he's working his magic. Who knows?
Yeah, to be fair as well, I think they got stuffed the week before, didn't they? But yeah, to beat Everton 5-2, I don't know, with Everton, you never know what you're going to get. Obviously, they've got Rafa there now. and I think they were 2-1 up, I think, and they looked alright. But Watford, it seemed to be like the day where any chance they created, they put in the back of the net. Is it Josh King? I think he got a hat trick.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I think there was a few Mo Salah goals in there. I think the 2 goals come the end. Both of the Watford boys turned like the Everton players inside out, sent them to the chippy, and then scored both occasions. So yeah, quality for Watford.
Yeah, to be fair, some of those finishes, like the composure, they broke down the wing, chipped it, crossed it in, good first touch, put it away, and then I think the 5th goal they scored, was it the 4th, one or the other? Yeah, turn the defender inside out, nice composure, put it in the corner. But yeah, hopefully that will give them a little bit of confidence. Beating Everton, is no easy feat at all. So yeah, hopefully they can kick on now, because I think if they'd have lost that, it would have been a bit of a kick in the teeth, especially having a new manager as well now. But no, it'd be interesting to see what they do next week. They'll probably lose 4-0 next week, but yeah, good result against Everton.
Yeah, I'd take a 5-2 Tottenham beating Everton away every day of the week if I could have that. But it's not to be at the minute. Next game was Leeds Wolves. That one ended up a 1-1 as well. Leeds in that one nicked it late on again. That was kind of it was a scrappy game. There wasn't too much going on in that game, to be honest. If I looked at it, 2 teams, they'll go out, they fight hard. As we spoke about it last Monday, I think Leeds they need a little bit up front more than Bamford if they want to kick on. I think we said last week, down to the recruitment of their sort of like directors, they didn't bring in the people to sort of push them on this season. But they're going to be in there around now. I've got Leeds. I reckon they're going to be sort of like top 10, maybe 8th, 9th. That's where I fancy seeing Leeds this season.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the goals are definitely dried up for Leeds. They were scoring a lot of goals. Last season seemed to sort of, like you say, that they need a bit more fire and power up top. But yeah, I think both teams would take that. Not overly massively exciting game, to be fair.
Yeah, no, but I did miss out a couple of points here. Obviously, the Palace game, the 1-1, you went for a 2-2, so you pick up a point on that one. I went for a Palace win, missed out on that one. The Watford game, Everton, I went for a draw, you went for a 2-0 Everton, both missed out on that one. The Leeds game, 1-1, you called it. 2 points in the bag for you on that one, son. I went for a 3-2 Leeds win, so again, not doing particularly well this week. Next game then was Southampton Burnley, 2-2 game. That was quite a good, honest game, to be honest. They both of them went about it. They both attacked each other. It was quite a lively game. It wasn't like anticipated it being a bit of a boring game, to be honest. Both of them were quite open. Burnley sort of pushed Southampton back. They got the 2-2 draw. Not a bad one. You called it 2-2. Again, Jamid, I don't know where these predictions are coming from, Tom, but that's 2 in a row for you. And I called it for a 1-0.
Mate, I need to get some points on the ball, because for people watching that don't know, if at the end of the season I have more points than you've definitely got to come in here in your Wonder Woman outfit. I don't know what my forfeit will be, but yeah, I'm hoping that we can get you wearing that at the end of the season, mate.
I'm sure I can find you something, Tom, to wear if you lose, mate. The next game we had was the Man City Brighton, and I had it last week. I thought that Brighton had Man City's number, because they've sort of like caused Man City issues in the past. Not this weekend. Man City went about the business, looked like champions, sort of like playing like champions. 4-1, sort of like totally sort of put them aside. No issues for Man City in that game. Brighton were sort of like, I wouldn't say they weren't at the races. They went in there to give it a go, but when Man City are on song and they're performing well, it doesn't matter who you are. Man City will turn up and turn you over if they're fully on song, which they did. Yeah,
I feel like Man City have started to build up some momentum in the last few weeks. I feel like as well, in those sort of games, it just comes down to quality of players. City have got some great players. Phil Foden had a really good game, scored a couple of good goals. And it's funny because every time they win and they score a few, every time Pep's interviewed, like after the game, they always say things like, so, maybe you didn't need a striker, got all these attacking options, Grealish, Foden and so on. And then when they lose or draw, it's like, oh, you really missed out in the summer. How much are you missing? A potential goal scorer like Harry Kane. But no, it's funny. But yeah, they've got so much quality going forward. And I think in the end, as you said, really, it was an easy day at the office for them. Easy 3 points, and yeah, they're starting to build some momentum, and they're starting to score a few goals as well.
Yeah, you went with a 3-1 on that one, so not far off.
Close.
Yeah, but you pick a point up. I went for 2-1 Brighton win. So again, I ain't doing particularly well this week. I've got to say, you've turned it around a little bit after this week's results. Like I was like flying ahead of you, and I was thinking this is me all over. I've won this, but you've had a couple of good results this weekend.
What we do when we do the video next week, when we get on, if you can tell us where the points are, so people know.
I'll be able to let you know at the end of this one, Tom. Don't you worry. I've got them all counted out already.
All right.
The other game was Brentford Leicester. I went for a 3-2 Brentford. You went for a 2-2, 2-1 Leicester in the end of that game. But again, Brentford didn't do themselves. They did themselves justice again. Played really well in that game. I'm sounding like a Brentford fan more and more each week as this goes on, to be honest. But they played well. They could have been up in that game. Leicester in the end, they won that game. I've got a point to pick from that game in our 3 picks later, because there was something that happened in that game that I thought was like blinded, but I'll pick up on that later. But yeah, Leicester pulled away with that 2-1 win in the end.
Yeah, I feel like Leicester are starting to. They had a bit of a dodgy start to the season. They were quite inconsistent, but I think they beat us for 4-2 the other week. Won again today, so they're starting to get back on track. But yeah, Brentford, I just feel like they battered Chelsea the other week. They were unfortunate. Chelsea's keeper, it meant that he had a great game. That he kept him in it. Yeah. We touched on that last week, but I think you get away with that in the Championship, but they need to be a bit more clinical, because they're playing well in games, but at the end of the day, if you're not scoring, you're not going to get any points. It's all well and good playing well, but they've got to start turning these performances into wins.
Yeah, to be honest, Michael had a bit of a Mendy. We could say that. Schmeichel did. He did. Do you mean he did keep Leicester in the game at various points? It weren't like Brentford weren't creating the chances. They was creating the chances and working the keeper. It weren't like they was skying the ball and putting it in rows and everything. They was actually working the keeper. So yeah, unlucky, but that's how it goes, football, isn't it? You went for, as I say, 2-2. I went for a 3-2. No one picked anything up on that one. Next game, obviously, Spammers against the Spurs. First half, Tottenham looked half decent. We were sitting there in there with a shout. Nuno went and kept he took 11, the first 11 that played midweek in the Europa Tin Pan Conference Champions Cup, whatever it's called. We went out in that squad, lost that game. So the 11 that was kept behind for this game against West Ham, they was meant to be a strong 11, go out, pick up the 3 points, and Nuno would have been seen to have done the right thing. Didn't work out. We first half we was in it. I think we had more percentage of the first half. Second half didn't turn up. Don't think we've even had a shot on goal, which is I mean, you can't play a game. You can't not have a shot on goal and expect to get a point, to be honest. That's what we was looking for. It looked like we was going for a 0-0. Then I think West Ham had the corner, swung it in the box, 72nd minute. Antonio popped the ball in the back of the net, 1-0 West Ham, all over. There was nothing coming back from Spurs in that game. At the minute, it's a bit sort of like it's Jekyll and Hyde. Do you mean 1 minute we'll go out and we'll have a good game, next minute we have a poor game? Do you mean it's one of those, to be honest?
Yeah, I just feel like, firstly, credit to West Ham. They are, I think we've been saying for the last few weeks, David Moyes has really sort of got his feet under the table at West Ham now. Sort of second spell in charge. West Ham must be thinking it's probably the best decision they've ever made. He's really got comfortable. He's made some good signings. They're now difficult to beat. And one thing I think they've lacked over the last few seasons, well, not including last year, but was consistency. But now you know what you're going to get from West Ham. You're going to get a team that turn up, try and score goals. They're difficult to score against, and they didn't have an amazing game, but I think that shows a good side when they win, and they're not playing as good as they potentially can. But won it from a set piece, which you'll be disappointed in. But I watched the highlights from that one as well, and talk about Kane being 140 million pound striker. it didn't have a sniff, did he?
No, there was no service, and it was one of those games where people were like screaming out, "I need a bit of width, need to get down the outside," and that was pretty much Nuno's sort of his football at Wolves, was to get out down the outside, get the ball into Jimenez. And that game, we seemed to put everything through the middle. Everything went through Ndombele. He didn't have a bad game, but everything seemed to go through the middle. It wasn't like there was a plan B at any point. There wasn't like, okay, like we're 60, 65 minutes into it, let's get Gill in, let's go wide, let's try and get down the outside, let's go 4-4-2, let's do something to make things different. There was no change in tactics. And obviously you could see if there was no shots in the beginning of the first half, there's no shots by the end of the second half. So it was one of those, really, to be honest. And
worrying.
Yeah, a little bit worrying. Yeah, it's just, as I say, it's more. Am I overly worried? Not overly worried. I just can't see it. It'll be a struggle to get into top four unless we do something. Unless we change our sort of mentality. Something's got to happen for us to sort of like get some momentum to start pushing on, string some results together. Otherwise, it will be like 3 steps forward, a couple of steps backwards each week. And I mean, that's not going to get you into Champions League, but it's one of those. We'll just have to see how it goes, really, to be honest. But like you said, can't take anything away from West Ham. They played well. Like you say, they wasn't particularly blinding or anything. But at the end of the day, again, what they were solid, ground out the result, took the chance, got the 3 points, and it's not the first time they've done it. And I doubt if it'll be the last time they do it this season.
Up to 4th in the league as well.
Yeah, well, that's one of those, isn't it? I think the last game, obviously, was the Man U game, to be honest. And really, people say, "Oh, you change the rules as you go along, Shane," like me, and laugh, to be honest. I called the Salah hat trick, and I should get 3 bonus points for that. But because I didn't call it and call that as a rule previously, I won't take any extra points for that. But yeah, when we said like 5-2 last week, and it was like a little bit of disbelief. Surely you can't mean that, Shane. And
yeah, I remember you saying that now, actually. Yeah.
But then it just happened, and like my boy was telling me, "So you can't believe it, Dad. It's 3-0. It's 4-0," and I was thinking, what has happened here? But at the end of the day, Liverpool, they was dominant. They was effective. They was like well oiled. Salah, it was just absolutely. He's having a bubble. Centre halves for Man U. It was sort of all over the shop. And do you mean? And then Pogba come on and then got sent off. I thought, to be honest, if he comes on and then gets himself sent off, that shouldn't be happening with him. Do you mean your team were in trouble? You've brought him on to do something. That's the last thing he should have done, I thought. And I think someone should have had a word with him. But that's from as a Spurs fan watching and any other sort of football fan watching. It was really one-sided. You wouldn't have. I was joshing a little bit last weekend, as if to say it was going to be 5-2 as a bit of a wind-up. Really didn't think it would come true, to be honest, like a 5-0 as it did. But you probably see it in a different light to me.
Do you know what, mate? I feel like to lose at home 5-0 against anyone is just embarrassing. I feel like it's been coming. I think recently we've won matches from moments of sort of like just superstar moments from Ronaldo. We've relied on him massively to get us out of trouble. He's done it again midweek against Atalanta. I think it was him against Villarreal as well. I feel like even when we've won games recently, it's not been convincing over the 90 minutes. Again, we've won it in just moments. I feel like watching the Liverpool game, it was so obvious. You know, you saw, as you said, a well-oiled team against a bunch of individuals that I don't know what's going on, but there's clearly a lack of balance in the team. Going back a few months, beginning of the season, everyone's buzzing. We've made some really good signings that we get in with. Then obviously, icing on the cake, we go and sign Ronaldo and think, oh yeah, no, great. You know, we could potentially challenge or at least be in with a chance of winning a trophy. So yeah, on paper we look like a really good side. But over the last few weeks, I don't know, it's been coming. I've been saying as well for the last few weeks, the defence look like they're still in the summer holidays. Every time the opposition puts an attack together. We look vulnerable. We look poor from set pieces. We look vulnerable to the counter attack. Harry Maguire is just making mistake after mistake, which is a shame because he had such a good Euros for England. And it's been coming, but to get a hiding from Liverpool is never a nice feeling. And obviously, there's a lot of talk now about Solskjaer. Is he the right man? I just feel like, again, I've been saying for the last few weeks, the team we've got now is almost like the team to win us trophies now. He's had plenty of money to spend. He's had plenty of time. I don't want to see him get sacked. But if we talk about players, we're soon to say, that player's not good enough. That player's not a United player. But maybe it's the same for the manager. Yeah, just disappointed with that result. But I don't know, at this rate, I think we're going to struggle to get top four. Because again, you look at like West Ham, they look like a proper team. David Moyes has got them playing really well. But yeah, just disappointed because it was coming. We were lucky in so many games recently. Against Villarreal, it was one of the most one-sided games, but luck was on our side that night. And then Pogba coming on, gets sent off, Ronaldo scores and gets ruled out. It sort of summed up our day, really.
Yeah, I mean, it weren't. I wasn't expecting it, but it means the game next weekend. Obviously, the Spurs Man U game next weekend is like. I was talking to my boy and I was thinking, do you mean it's almost like the battle of who keeps their job? Do you mean if whoever loses that game? Do you mean they could actually be looking at potential sort of like losing their job? I think it's getting to that sort of stage with both of those managers, but we'll probably talk about that at a later point. But yeah, potentially, who knows? We might end up with Conte. Wouldn't be a bad thing.
Well, I always sort of think, we got Solskjaer in. I think it was almost like a signing for the fans, being a club legend. But look at Chelsea. It didn't work out with Lampard. Got rid of him. People weren't happy at the time. Got Tuchel in, obviously a genius. It just shows you how one manager can do so much with a team and another manager can do a lot more. I'm not saying that's going to happen if we've got someone else who's going to go and do wonderful things, but I don't know, I just feel like he's had a lot of time, a lot of money, and it's just not happening.
Well, that was the review really of the obviously the last weekend's games. Then we have our 3 picks of the week. I did have 3 picks. It's all football related, really, and it's all over the weekend. First pick was Tielemans' goal for Leicester, outside of the box, absolutely levered it. Do you mean such a sweet strike? That was one for me. The Brighton centre half goal line clearance, overhead goal line clearance, phenomenal bit of defending, and then the Callum Wilson overhead goal for Newcastle. All 3 in their own rights, all 3 quality moments. I mean, the Leicester goal, the off the line clearance of Brighton, and Callum Wilson's overhead kick. Obviously, he's come back from injury, and he not long. I think 2 games back from injury. So to see him put something like in the net was good for him and good for Newcastle, to be honest.
Yeah, he's massive for Newcastle. I think keeping him fit and scoring goals is probably the difference between them sort of staying up and going down. My 3 picks, 3 hat tricks this weekend. First one, as much as it pains me to say it, is Salah's hat trick against us. Again, I think he was my pick of the week last week as well, with his pass and his assist and his goals. Just different. He's just playing out of his skin. And I think that, his contract, they're trying to negotiate a new contract at the moment. And when he's playing like that, he just looks like he's just scoring for fun. But I think all top level sports people make it look easy. But I think they're talking about $500,000 a week or something. But I think if you're a Liverpool fan, you just give him what he wants. But yeah, I think arguably the best player in the world at the moment, scored a hat trick. He's on fire, and I wouldn't want to be defending him because he makes decent defenders look average at the moment. Second, Mason Mount's hat trick for Chelsea. I think he's just probably one of the first names on the team sheet now. He's playing really well. Three good goals. Obviously he had the benefit of the VAR penalty. Obviously took it, keeper saved it. That it was deemed that the keeper was off his line. He got to take it again, put it away. So yeah, good hat trick for Mount. And King's hat trick. Yeah, three good goals for Watford. He looked like everything he was touching was going in the back of the net. So yeah, 3 hat-tricks from my 3 picks this week, matey.
Yeah, no, all good picks. It'd be interesting to know when was the last time that 3 hat-tricks were scored in the Premiership. It ain't a stat I've got, but I'll have it for next weekend. So next Monday I'll have that stat. So don't worry.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question, actually. You know, if anyone's listening and they know, feel free to leave that in the comments. And also, if you are listening, what was your pick of the weekend? It hasn't got to be football related. It can be any sport. We'd like to know.
Yeah. So that brings us into next week's predictions. Before I give the predictions for next week, I'll just let you know where we are score-wise on the table for like predictions so far. At the minute, I'm on 25 points.
Yeah.
With your week, because I only scored 2 points this week, you picked up 7 points this week, and you're on 23 points. So only 2 points adrift.
Go on, my boy.
2 points adrift. So for the weekend's fixtures coming up, we've got Leicester, Arsenal, Leicester at home. I'm going to go Leicester. I'm going to go Leicester 2-1.
I'm going to go 2-2.
The Brentford at home, Brentford away. I'm going to go with Brentford getting that one away, and I'm going to go Brentford 2-1.
1-0. I like my draws at the moment.
You do. Liverpool, Brighton. Liverpool at home against Brighton. Liverpool just smashed Man U 5-0.
All right, mate.
Sorry, 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw?
Yeah, 2-2 draw on that one.
2-0 Liverpool.
Man City Palace. Man City at home. Man City 4-1.
3-0.
Newcastle Chelsea. Newcastle at home. I'm going to go Newcastle. Squeeze a draw. 2-2.
Newcastle, was that Newcastle Chelsea?
Newcastle Chelsea.
I'll go 3-1 Chelsea.
Watford Southampton. Watford at home. Going to go 2-1 Watford.
1-0.
Massive game next then. Tottenham Man U. Tottenham at home. Fight for managerial careers. I'm going to go 3-2 Tottenham.
3-2 Tottenham, eh? Yeah, do you know what? I think after losing 5-0, we need to bounce back. I'll go 3-1 United. Always got that.
Next game then. Norwich Leeds. Norwich at home. Norwich 1, Leeds 3.
I'm going to go 1-0 Norwich. We want Norwich to win, so come on, Norwich. 1-0.
Villa West Ham. Villa at home. 1-1.
Go 2-1 West Ham.
And then we've got Wolves Everton. Wolves at home. Everton coming back off that 5-2 idea, and I think Everton will pick that one up 2-1 away to Wolves.
Oh, I'm going to go 2-0.
To who? Everton or Wolves?
Oh yeah, sorry, Everton.
Everton, right. Well, that pretty much wraps it up then for the review from last week, the 3 picks and the predictions for the week to come. So I think we pretty much wrapped it all up on that note, Tom. Any more to say?
No, sorry. This video was on a Wednesday. We're going to get it up tonight. It's normally we upload every single Monday, and normal service will be resumed this coming Monday. Every Monday night we review the football from the weekend, Premiership results. And if you like your boxing as well, check out the other videos on the channel. We've had a couple of professional boxers on. We've got loads more coming on as well on the podcast. We've got a professional boxing trainer on after this, so that video will be on tomorrow. And yeah, just thank you for your support. You know, we appreciate it. We've not even been going 2 months, but the channel is growing, you know, a lot, which we appreciate. But no, nothing else to add, mate. I hope you enjoy the rest of your holiday. Remember to put that factor 50 on. I don't want your head getting burnt.
Yeah, factor 50 on your head, innit?
Exactly.
Right,
but no, I hope, yeah, no, perfect, mate. I hope you have like I say, a good time. Plenty of paella and sangria. And I'll see you on the next one, mate, which is in probably about 20 minutes. So
yeah, jubbly. See you later, mate.
See you later, mate.
Bye.
All right.